business versus personal brand. Right.
I'm saying business, but with a twist.
For me, I think the obvious answer is personal brand.
Boy, here we go.
I found this clip and I thought it was a really nice, maybe possible debate. Maybe possible, right? Me and Moose don't always debate, but we don't always see eye to eye. So I found a clip that we could possibly not see eye to eye because Moose is very big into business and I'm very big into personal branding. So I found the clip that literally says business versus personal brand. So this is brought to you by Sean Kennel. He's not sponsoring this. This is just, I found it. I know who the creator is. You know what I mean? So let's go right into it.
We always say if you try and chase two rabbits, you end up catching neither of them. But I think if you can chase one rabbit and put some automation around it and some team around it, then things can get interesting. So I'm focused on building Think Media, and Sean Cannell leads to that. But there's actually a personal brand that I'm interested in building. Like I have a YouTube channel that I don't upload on that'll maybe be more about leadership in the future. But even with 25 people on our team, with an 8-figure company, I don't think I'm ready to split and divide my focus yet. So I think that anything that splits your focus, it should be avoided at all costs. I would focus on whichever thing is strongest to create the most amount of revenue that you could reinvest in team and automation. That would then allow you the margin to potentially start something else. Too many people start 7 things all at once when they should start one, grow it up, let it fund the next couple projects that you want to launch.
So Moose, out of business versus personal, what do you pick and why?
Well, I mean, I definitely got to go the personal route, or excuse me, the business route. Sorry.
I'm about to say, wait, you just ruined my whole thing.
No. I gotta go the business route. Okay. But I think the approach that he's describing is going to be for a very select few people, right? It's not going to work, say, for everyone. Okay. Now, what I found through my experience is that, of course, I'm a big fan of being able to diversify your business portfolio. The reason why I say that is because sometimes being able to jump into other industries, you're able to acquire more knowledge that can help you in the current avenue or lane that you're in, because it makes you more well-rounded. Now, in this case, there are some unique circumstances where you have to say, no, I cannot take on anything else. This is the only thing that I'm dedicated to until we either sell or I make an exit, right? One of the two options, however it is. But it's typically when you are raising a ton of money, meaning that you got, say, Series A, Series B money, you have millions of dollars and investors really counting on you. You're not just going to tell the investors, hey, I got a little side hustle. I know you gave me $20 million or so, but I got a little side hustle I'm working on in addition to this. So I'll be back, right? Obviously, when that is the responsibility you have to carry, you have to really commit to this one thing and be super disciplined toward that. You could be someone who doesn't like distractions. You actually really like to just do one thing at a time. You love to focus in and lock in on it. Me personally, and I'm not saying that way is right or wrong. I'm just saying that me personally, I always find that if I stick with one thing for too long, I can often get bored of it. And having just something to be able to distract me from it from time to time, yet still allow me to grow my knowledge and learn more about other industries or ins and outs of how business is functioning in other realms, it helps me make the current vehicle or industry that I'm on even better. So that I've almost kind of jump-started how I can navigate the business world. So I got to say I'm a fan of the business route for sure, but with a twist, because I know he's saying business, but you got to do it this way. Right. I'm saying business, but with a twist.
So is it more, are you leaning more towards that because you just see more of the benefit of just from a revenue standpoint of concentrating on the business rather than the other way around?
No, it's not even about revenue, to be honest with you. I think it's more so about the knowledge and how well-rounded it makes you as an entrepreneur. So the way I started it was with my very first company. I started it with the plan of making it a business that funds my next vehicle or my next business.
Right.
And I think we spoke about this before, where when I started the company, I named it Dream Supply. And I said, this is going to be the vehicle that supplies my dream as well as the dreams for others. The industry that I was in the hospitality industry, we worked with a lot of people who were in transition or they were aspiring actors, musicians. I mean, I've worked with people from all walks of life, but they needed something that gave them a little bit of flexibility until they made their dreams of becoming, say, an actor either on Broadway or on big screen a reality. So that job is typically for them. So that's kind of how I called it that. But I want to say about maybe 18 or 24 months in is when I started to think about, okay, well, what's next? What is the thing that I'm going to start kind of latching on to build further or really recycle the next thing? And that's really what worked for me. So that's, everyone's going to, of course, teach on their experience. And that's how I've done it.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I think for me, I think the obvious answer is personal brand. And I think for me, the reason is because I truly believe that you could get way more traffic with being the personal brand that brings the traffic to the business than leading with the business first. Because regardless of either or, you still have branding and marketing in place, right? And so with understanding that, what do people connect with? People connect with people. People don't necessarily connect with the logo or the product and service first. They connect with the people or the people that are involved with it or who have experienced it, right? It's always about the storytelling. So I think from the initial, how do I bring traffic? How do I get people to recognize what I'm doing? I think you want to lead with the personal brand first, and then plus, there's different ways that can create revenue just off of a person. So you do have the business side, but then you have all these other things that still could bring traffic to the business side. So like, for instance, if you, I don't know, let's say you have, I'll use Deeper Than the Brand as an instance, right? So we have programs, we have like coaching programs, but then we have courses, and then we have memberships, and then we have one-off workshops. If I wanted to do one personally, I just go through Deeper Than the Brand. It's my face, but backed by the company, right? So when we did the podcast one, I let it went straight back to Deeper Than the Brand because it was housed there and everything. So for me, it's always going to be personal brand first. We love Tesla, but the person who brings up the stocks or drops the stocks is Elon, right? The next person that we're going to be talking to, the personal brand, brought up and down the stock of a huge company, one that was killing it in the 90s, right? And I think it's also, both of the brands, well, I'll tell you now, Kanye brought up and down Adidas and Gap. So now that there's a conversation of some turmoil, what do you think is happening? It's going down. So that's because of the power of a personal brand. That wasn't because Gap is doing whatever. It's because Kanye is doing something, and because of the influence can control or narrate what happens to a business. So I'm always going to say personal brand, just because of that power.
It makes sense, and I think you're like, it's one of the things at play too is influence and credibility. There are, especially for personal brands, there are some people who just naturally, they've always been influential almost in everything they've done. They were natural leaders. People gravitated toward them. They didn't have to necessarily try to convince someone to follow them, right? It's almost just a natural way of doing it. But for others, I think you really, or just at least for the way I think about it, so mindful and meticulous about credibility and building a resume that speaks for itself so that you don't have to try and, say, use your verbal or influence or persuasive skills to try and convince someone that you're the answer. Right? It's like, no. I have proof as to why. Now, in any event, once you spend some time in either vehicle, eventually you gather enough proof. You get to say, hey, here's the results of my work after some time. But I think one of the things that the business also lends is that credibility piece almost off the bat. Like when we covered Shaq on last episode, my man spent 5 minutes reading his resume. It's like, you're not going to question, what his accomplishments are when he has a resume or credibility of that kind. But for sure, I think that's probably one of the other, the two variables that play into it as well.
Yeah. And when Sean was talking about, well, I can't focus on both, I'm like, I think it depends on how you look at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm going to lean on the company and I'm going to bring in the traffic over there, it's not about thinking of one or the other. One is the same, right? It's you have, as a personal brand, have became an official brand ambassador, the leading face of that company. So it's never really thinking about. You should be looking at your personal brand, like, how does this bring authority to myself, but as well as bring authority to the company, bring traffic over there, and they clearly see that, like you said, that there's a different level when you have a business. Like, you're not just, you're just they're an influencer, you're a content creator. That's cool. No, I'm this as well. So I kind of know what I'm talking about because and we went through it a little bit last week where majority of these content creators that are coming out, they're now branching out to be business owners or co-founders or, being way more affiliated in the business world because they understand that this is just to get myself inside certain doors and get certain opportunities to create something more of a legacy standpoint for myself. But let's do the cheat code and use my influence while I still have it to bring it over there. And then I could, go into the sunset when that time period is done and my influence isn't as heavy as maybe it once was, and I could just go over there, but I've exhausted all that I can in this amazing time period where we do look at content creators as the new celebrities. We do look at influencers as the new celebrities. So there shouldn't be a reason where one person can't do both. Not
Right.
knocking him, but I don't see how one person can't do both if the goal is still the business.
I agree. It's probably one of the best ways to actually create marketing material for, like, one creates marketing material for the other. They almost one hand feeds the other in a sense. So I agree with that a lot, actually.